Howdy there. Now, you might remember that time I talked about when I got in trouble for not being homophobic. You probably remember that. You've seen the video, right? Well, if you haven't, it should be popping up right about here. But this time I will be talking about other stories with teachers that I've had and talking about the worst teachers I've had throughout the years. Now, the first teacher we're going to talk about these in order of like what year I had them. So we're going to talk about my third grade teacher. We'll call her Miss Bones. Now, anyone who knows this teacher will know why I'm calling her that. But they but I'm messing up with my speech here. But she wasn't a bad teacher. I wouldn't consider her, well, she was a bad teacher, but I don't think she wasn't like trying to be a bad teacher. She was pretty nice too. I mean, I had nothing against her like personally, but she was horrible at teaching, which is kind of the idea with it. I mean, seriously, you could like get away with not doing anything with her, and like the only reason we actually had to do work in third grade is because we actually had two teachers. So, our other teacher, who I'll call Miss, I can't think of anything. I'll call her Miss because I'm literally only going to talk about her for a few sentences. She made us do work and stuff, but our teacher, Miss Bones, oh my god, she lets you get away with anything, man. Like, seriously, you can do, like, no fucking homework, you'll just forget, and it was like, wow, this is easy. And, like, that's what really fucked me up in third grade, because, like, before third grade, I know this isn't much, because the classes before third grade are fucking easy, I was making, like, all A's and B's, and ever since then, it just fucked me over, seriously. There is one good thing that came out of it, though. So, actually, about 3 years after she taught me, about 3 years after she was my teacher, she left and moved back to Georgia, I believe. And, well, she left this. So, yeah, I was in computer class, my computer class in 7th grade, I believe it was 7th grade. And we had our computer teacher, she was our computer teacher at the time. She wasn't bad doing that, luckily. But she was our computer teacher at the time, and we got a new computer teacher for the rest of the year, and I looked at her, and she left this, and I was like, can I have that? And she was like, yeah. So I've just had this ever since. It's been sitting on my shelf over there. Yeah. If you're watching this, and, you want it back, no. Now, as you can tell, that teacher wasn't that bad. Sure, she wasn't the best teacher, but she wasn't like a bad person. She was alright. She was fine. But this next teacher, oh boy, this next teacher, we're gonna call this next teacher Miss Burger King. And once again, if you know her, you know why I'm calling her Miss Burger King. But this teacher was my teacher in 6th grade, and it was this year that I lost all faith in humanity, because holy shit, where do I even begin? So, first of all, she just straight up hated me. I'm like not even kidding. There were like certain people in that class, me and two of my friends, that she just did not like at all. And it was like so obvious, because like I would talk a lot. I'm not gonna lie about that. I would fucking talk a lot. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I had no problems. I was in 6th grade. Of course, I was a child. Of course I'm gonna not be the best student ever. But, you know, she literally made me move my desk to the wall, away from everybody. Same with one of my friends, actually. And it's weird, because at this point, me and him weren't really friends. We were sort of friends, because, like, I had known this guy, for years at this point, since kindergarten. And like, it was actually this that pretty much forced us to talk and become friends, which is kind of interesting. So I guess it wasn't all bad, but at the same time, there were some bad moments. Okay, here's the worst example. We were in class reviewing for like a test or something, and we were playing like Jeopardy to review or whatever. It was a neat little idea that she did every once in a while. And I'll give her some, you know, praise about that. She did do some stuff like that every now and then, and it was really fun. But oh boy, seriously, I'm not kidding. Like, she walked outside to take a phone call, I believe, and like people do, we started talking. Like, everyone in the room was talking, except it went beyond talking. Like, I was sitting there talking with my friend, just sitting there at the desk the entire time she was outside, just talking back and forth with my friend. Normal shit, right? Like, oh, she left, okay, I'll just talk to my friend. And everyone else in the room just went fucking insane. Like, seriously, everyone was out of their seat, doing shit and everything. And me and my friend were just sitting there chilling at the desk talking, like normal fucking people. And oh my god, this bitch! Where do I begin? She walks back in, right? She walks back in. And I'm not even kidding. Everyone's just fucking around, going insane, except us two, right? I mean, there were probably some other people, but the majority of the people were out of their desk, just fucking around, and me and him are just there talking. And she gets mad at us! At us! Like, and me and my friend, got in trouble for that. And no one else was in trouble for it. Seriously. And I had already been in trouble, like, for something, I can't remember what, like, maybe a week or so prior. And they did forget about it, luckily. But, like, oh my god, it pissed me off, because it's like, we were just sitting there fucking talking like normal people, while everyone else is acting like they're on fucking cocaine. But no, you're gonna single out the two people that are just sitting there talking. And I'm like, what? Because we literally freaking were just sitting there talking. And it's like, you must really fucking hate us to do that. And it was a shit show. It really was a shit show. That entire year of school was awful. Like, it was fucking awful. And she wouldn't even, like, really teach us. She'd just be sitting at the desk, chilling on her phone all day. One of my other friends said one time she was just sitting there looking at bikinis, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how shitty of a teacher do you have to be to sit there on your phone and ignore your students? Like, I don't get it. I really don't fucking get it. Now, our last teacher today, because there are other teachers I've had that at times I didn't like, but I don't think it's warranted to talk about it in a video like this. But the worst one, by far, is my teacher who, I talked about in my last video. Well, not my last video, but the video I mentioned earlier, where I got in trouble for not being homophobic. I talked about that. Go check that video out. It's a real banger. You'll enjoy it. But this teacher, I've had a couple of incidents with this teacher, like, seriously. And first of all, the first thing I want to talk about is I had this teacher for years up until now. And she wasn't really like a full teacher. She'd like teach us some things every now and then, you know, whatever. It wasn't until last year that she was like one of our full teachers, really. And last year was shit. She was not the best teacher last year as well. But at the same time, it wasn't unbearable. But this year, oh my god, this year's been fucking rough. First of all, one example I'd like to give is earlier this year, I think about like early spring, She said my eyes were red or something, and literally fucking asked me if I did drugs. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like, it's early spring. Obviously, it's my fucking allergies. But she literally asks me in the middle of class, just like, hey, Jonathan, do you do drugs? And I'm like, the fuck you say, bitch? She literally asked if I did drugs. Just in class, just fucking there. And I'm like, obviously I don't do drugs. I don't think I need to explain that I don't do fucking drugs. I obviously tell her I don't do drugs. And she's like, okay, but, tell me if you... And I'm like, yes, because I would tell you if I did drugs. It's like, I sort of get why the concern. It's like, of course she doesn't want me doing drugs, but you don't just fucking ask that in the middle of class. Oh my god. If you do have a concern about that, you're like, hey, see me after class, and you're like, hey, do you do drugs? Like, at least have the decency to do that, And it's like, what the fuck? And, like, I guess I sort of get it. Like, my eyes, look at my eyes. If you haven't noticed, they're, like, always dark around there. It's weird. It's not because I get no sleep. It's true that I don't sleep a lot, but that's not why it happens. But another instance of her being quite the interesting teacher is, well, so I wasn't, this has to do with the friend I mentioned earlier who I was talking to with the last teacher, and I wasn't able to go to his house. We had to cancel some plans to go to his house, whatever, fucking whatever. I wasn't going to his house like usual. I go there a decent amount. He's my best friend, so, and she somehow hears about it. I don't know how the fuck she heard about it. And she, in the middle of class, asks me once again, she's like, hey, is there anything anything I wouldn't approve of going on at Josh's house? And I'm like, no, what? No. She literally asks me if there's anything inappropriate going on. I mean, I probably stuff she wouldn't approve of. Like, hardcore gay fucking. I'm kidding. I'm not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I've made it very clear that I don't care. But, she asks me that. And, I talked to my friend after this. He's a year younger than me. So, he wasn't in that class. But I am in most of my classes with him. And he's like, I'm with him. And he's like, I explained this to him. And he's like, what? Really? And, she hears... Now, my friend messes with her in his next class, and he's like, hey, Miss W, we'll just say that. Do you think there's anything inappropriate going on in my house? Just, fucking around. And she gets mad at me for telling him. It's like, of course I'm gonna fucking tell him! This has quite a lot to do with him! And, I could go on and on about shit she's done. I really can't remember much more, big things, but there have been so many small things all the time that it is, that it just pisses me off. Because she is the worst teacher I've ever had. And I don't want to sound like an asshole by saying all these things about her and calling her all these things, because, I know it must be hard to be a good teacher, but at the same time, I don't see how you can fuck up that bad. And, all the time, I can, okay, so I mentioned last time where I got in trouble for being homophobic, and that was mostly just because I dared to share my opinion. Fucking pisses me off to this day. Well, sounds like it was a while ago when I say it that way, but you know what I mean. And she's such an awful teacher. She really is. Her classes that I've taken are easy and stuff, so it's not like the work's hard. It's fucking easy. But, oh my god, she's just the absolute worst. I don't know, I don't have any words left at this point. Okay, I've said it before in one of my first videos in this, sort of series, I guess, or at least one of my first videos like this, that I am an atheist. And if you dare to question any logic in the Bible there, I forgot to mention I do go to a Christian school, which I hate, but I just go there because of my friends still. And another one of my friends also is an atheist as well. And he gets in a lot of trouble for daring to question this shit. And it's like, that's why I don't do it. Like, I wish I could. Every single time, it just enrages me when I'm like, oh my god, I could destroy her with facts and logic. I mean, I could. But no. And like, that's what I hate about it. You just share your opinion and you're just fucked over. Like, it seriously pisses me off. But I think that's gonna be the end of this. This is the worst teachers I've ever had. It was an interesting video, to say the least. Who knows, I might do my best teachers I've ever had. No, then that wouldn't be as entertaining, now would it? But I have had some good teachers, so it's not all bad. Those are just the small handful that have been bad. So, you know, it's not all bad. But yeah, bye. Love you.